All right, everyone. Thanks for joining. We're doing a little TGIF, some Friday happenings. The family's out for about 1 hour, or at least I hope. I'm gonna keep an eye on ways to make sure that I don't get basically photobombed by a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old. Got
Ouch.
Coors Light this evening. We're on because my recent videos about collectibles. CloudKen's been commenting on my channel for a little while, so I'll bring you in. How you doing,
Hey guys.
CloudKen? How you doing this
Hey
evening?
guys. Hey, I'm good. Thanks a lot for having me.
What
Thanks a
have you
lot for
got
setting
there?
this up.
La Croix?
Yeah. I had my drink tonight. It's a little late tonight, so I'm just getting some water in.
Is it the hibiscus or the limoncello?
I don't know. Lime. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, the floral ones suck, but I accidentally
Yeah.
keep buying them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good deal.
So
Costco.
how you doing? You said you've been jumping around a few streams, having fun chatting to people.
Yeah, I spend all my day, working from home like you do, and just like watching all these guys, and a lot of these guys are just local to me in the East Coast, and
Oh,
and
cool.
just we have so much in common, and we're able to just like actually talk to each other, and it's all about networking anyway.
Yeah,
So yeah, so it's a lot
yeah,
of
yeah.
fun. Yeah.
There aren't too many people out here in the Las Vegas area, but obviously there's the watch meetup that happened a couple times now. That's highly disorganized though, so
Okay.
it's
I
the
I,
amount
I
of
think
meetup that happens at the October watch meetup is a little bit limited, I think.
I think Tim Wright might be going to Vegas sometime this in maybe a couple weeks, few weeks. You should get in contact with him. I
In a
mean, he's
few
a good
weeks,
guy.
okay.
Yeah, maybe in a few weeks. Yeah, maybe the summer even.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the OC of OC. He's a
I
really smart dude.
I,
I
I met
I
him today. Yeah, I met him
Oh
today for the
yeah,
first time in
cool.
chat. Yeah, I was on this like afternoon chat called the Watch Community, and it's just
Mm.
a bunch of guys that are just like working from home and just like lazy day on Friday. Might as well just like get on the stream at the same time.
Yeah, yeah. I spent a bit of time on the community when I was on paternity leave, but I'm back to full-time work now, so
I
so you
got you.
won't find me on that many streams during the
Pat
day.
leave. Ouch. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm a big fan of OC. I really respect his opinion.
Yeah.
He doesn't pull punches in terms of like he just he's he's willing to say the things that are nice about a watch, but he's also pretty frank about which watches actually are worth getting.
Yeah. Don't waste anybody's time. Sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
While I feel Archie and Tim, because they don't want to bite the hands that feeds them, they're no longer willing to be critical about watches, honestly.
I hear you. I hear you. Yeah. Tim's running like more of like a journalist type of show at this point. He's really trying to just like moderate and just promote the community concept, which is a great idea in his end.
Hmm.
But listen, I mean, I like your videos, especially because like, you come from a finance background, and you're not afraid to uh, talk about watches as investments or analyze the value of watches. I feel like a lot of the community, they just, whenever you lump in, watches and their asset values together, they just it just like shuts them off, or a lot of people just like don't want to talk about it since. But you can't ignore the fact that these things are assets, and maybe good investments, maybe bad investments, but they are investments in some way, and we have to understand that fact.
Yeah, yeah. I look, and I'm not here to try and encourage people to use them as investments. I think I made
No.
quite a few videos that do talk about them, yes, as investments, but I just want to highlight like the historical record shows that they're not good. They're just not terrible, which is very odd. Most
Well,
things are just terrible. And then there's only a couple things that you can really bet on. That's like S&P 500 index, real estate, do the right thing there.
yeah,
These are the only things that really have really good track records. Everything else simply
I hear
doesn't.
you. I
Yeah.
hear you. Everything has their pros and cons. You know, I mean, me personally, you know, we're in a down market now, so obviously everyone can shit on watches all they want. right now. But I mean, it's to me, it's never really about comparing itself to S&P or stocks or real estate. All right, it's
Right.
totally different things. Although it may be close to the stock market sometimes, but I mean, it's to me historically, watches have always been more of like a fixed income investment. Just
Interesting.
hold it. It's just a way to park your money. Maybe gain a few percent a year. All right, like a bond. Just be happy with that it keeps up with inflation. Don't get greedy and think it's like crypto or some type of growth stock. That's where people,
Right.
I think, get in trouble. And I never
Anything that's
ever.
moving really, really fast without like news happening with it, like discontinuation. But even my latest video, I really highlight the discontinuation is something you should sort of start being very wary of when someone starts
Yeah,
when there's
yeah,
rumors about it and people start talking about value because it's going to be discontinued. It's like, okay, maybe I shouldn't buy it because part of my money to get this watch is because some people think it's going to be discontinued. But that's got nothing to do with whether or not it's a good watch.
true. Exactly. I mean, if you're like a flipper or something like that, or some type of dealer, then yeah, you can try and play that game. But no, obviously, if you like the watch, the fact that it's discontinued, you have to like the watch first and foremost, right? And then if it's
Yeah.
discontinued, then obviously try and get it a little bit, as soon as you can. Then if you think
Yeah,
if you like the
it's. I
Milgauss,
think it's well and good to get something that and pay secondary for it in general. But once there's a lot of rumors about it being discontinued, I think you now have to be very wary because that is going to push the price before it actually gets discontinued. This happened for multiple years in a row with the Milgauss, and now the
yeah,
Milgauss is discontinued, and the latest price on Moda starts of 12, and back
okay,
in January it was at 11. So
yeah,
it
yeah.
shot up to like 18 after discontinuation, and it's falling like a rock. And
All
I
right,
don't think there's a flaw to it because I think a
Z
lot of
Blue.
people were holding it just on the whole discontinuation thing. There's no
I
reason to
mean,
hold it now that it's actually discontinued. So what's the flaw? We don't know.
nothing. It's a Milgauss is still a Milgauss. Maybe they'll bring it back later. Who knows? Who cares really at the end of the day? And the real thing is, yeah, the Daytonas were the big release of this time.
Yeah, yeah,
So
and discontinuation of the Panda has actually brought the price down, and that
oh, it's
wasn't even
down. Oh, it's
expected.
down now.
Yeah, it's actually down. Yeah,
I've been
so
talking to everyone. It's like 50-50. I like the new one, 50-50. I prefer the old one. So
yeah, so I'll tell you what happened, and that is it went from about 34. It started sort of playing around with prices at 38. Right now it's at 33. And so here are the things that could be happening. 38, it's discontinued. If you want one, you're going to have to get one now. And there's limited supply at this point. And there always was, but it's very limited now, I
wow.
guess. But there's also going to be people who just want the new thing. So how many
Yeah.
people who want the new Daytona are going to part with their old Daytona? So there could be new supply
Mm,
entering the market just simply because of people who actually, have the watch and they just want to trade into the new one. So
okay.
that's probably going to happen for quite a while because it's not like they're getting the new Daytona in their hands already.
Yeah. Nah.
So who knows? Who knows what happens to it? Uh, in general, I don't speculate. Like, I buy the watch because I like it. Now, I'll just rest on the fact that in general this stuff is fine in the long term. Roughly 4%. I'm not going to get rich off this stuff, but
Yeah.
I
That's
can I
it.
can use it. I can suck up the opportunity cost of not
Sure.
having the very best investment here, and just enjoy it.
It's not the worst. I think I think if you compare it to, yeah, if you want to compare it to stocks historically or real estate, which although real estate has its own pitfalls, believe me, I'm in New York. I
Yep.
I deal with a lot of hassle. All right, so but what you should do is compare it to cash. All right, and
Right.
even today, that's what you should really to be compared. Do you want that money sitting in a bank or in a treasury, versus in a watch? And it's always been, at least for the last couple of decades, it's always been a watch. Maybe at this moment right now, maybe you might want the 5% in a cash instrument. That might be it. but
It's,
we'll see how
it's
rates
a
go.
really wild time right now. It doesn't feel like there's any, to me, like in the last few weeks, I've just like, there's no good moves. Like, while Bitcoin was hovering at its lows, I'm like, you can just pump a little bit of money into crypto and just build up your position there.
Yeah, you got
But
to be able to do that. Yeah.
I think S&P 500 is sort of sitting at a sort of a medium point in terms of its PE ratio, historical PE ratio, and watches I wouldn't say are genuinely cheap. Maybe APs are, but not
Yeah.
Rolexes. Rolex haven't even gone back to sort of like 2019 secondary market values, in my
No,
book.
it hasn't. It hasn't. Not even. Not the Panda. Panda was like at the mid 20s, 2019, still at
Right.
30, like you said. Yeah,
Yeah, like
and the whole.
I think 22, 26 sort of range between black and white. Pepsi's at 22. While I think Pepsi's
Yeah.
are sort of hovering at that range,
No.
there's a lot of other watches that are still higher. Like the Starbucks is trading for higher than the Hulk was at the same time period in 2019.
Starbucks. Yeah, I don't think it was out then. The Starbucks. I think it was just
Oh
the
no, what I
Hulk.
mean is the Starbucks is holding at about 15, 16,
Oh, okay.
while in 2019 you could get a Hulk for about 13, 14.
True.
So
True.
it just
True.
gives you some comparison because we don't have that model
No,
anymore.
the game has changed. Not even with secondary, but it's changed in the primary market with just this whole AD stuff. It's much harder to get watches. I mean, I haven't gotten anything for like maybe close to a year in some places. I mean, I do the best I can with ADs here in New York, but
What have you
I
got? What do you want?
I mean, I got like three Tudors. I'm wearing one right now. Black
Nice.
Bay ETA, OG one ETA.
Oh,
Had,
cool.
it's my daily since like 2015. Yeah, if I get the camera right. All right.
Webcam's not
Uh,
going to do justice, but is
yeah,
that
yeah.
maroon
No, it's the
in
blue one.
black?
It's the
Oh,
it's the
blue.
blue one. Yeah, it's the blue
Yes,
one.
these webcams are just
So
shocking.
I got like I got
Oh, well,
yeah. No, I'm
I'm
here.
just
I'm
trying to
here.
get you onto the.
Yeah,
How do I
yeah.
feature you?
It's all right. Yeah. So
No.
it's all right. It's all right. It's cool. Not very photogenic. So I got three Tudors, and I was just telling Tim I got like about like 8 to 10 Rolexes, similar to your collection, very similar to your
Wow.
collection. I don't have like I don't have the Panda. I don't have the Panda. That was impossible for me. The best steal I got is probably maybe a Batman or a Sprite. Yeah, I'll say probably Sprite's up there as the
Yeah,
best
yeah.
steal.
Sprite. That's
Got a
very
Sprite.
cool. I mean, that's
Yeah.
such an obvious collectible. It's that's a dangerous one. That's a dangerous one. Uh, it's really interesting because obviously it has a lot of pop when it came out, and anyone who's purchased it has only experienced declining value. But
Gray. Yeah. Gray.
yeah, so it's kind of a funny one because it's still higher than a Pepsi. It still has a very high potential in terms of if they actually do discontinue it, but they didn't. But I didn't see it drop after it survived Watches and Wonders, survived the cull. But it's an interesting one because most of the watches that I get, okay, they'll have a pop, but I expect them to just appreciate slowly. And yeah, okay, the Daytona quickly went to like $50,000 and then dropped down to 30 ish, and now slowly creeping back up. But I mean, I only had to endure that pain for like 2 months. Effectively, like
I
the
mean,
roller coaster didn't last too long.
yeah. You can't ever pick the tops. I mean, but look, it
But
has
the Sprite is one you kind of can. I mean, Bear famously got rid of his as soon as he got it. I think he sold it for probably low four, high
wow,
three sort of number. He got it really
wow,
early,
wow.
and you can't deny what he said, and that was like, I'm selling it because I honestly don't think I can get more money than that ever for that watch.
Okay,
So I just have to get rid of it now. And you know, I don't think there's an ethics to flipping, as in, if that's what the shop does, and people are unhappy about that happening, that's between people and the shop, right? And the shop can
sure,
just choose its customers. There's
sure.
nothing unethical about flipping a watch. except for the fact that did you lie to get that to happen? Are you
Sure,
burning a
sure.
relationship just to make that happen?
Yeah,
But it
yeah.
doesn't seem like
40K.
Bear did. It doesn't seem like Bear did at all. Like, you know, it seemed like fine, basically.
I've never sold a watch. I gotta be honest with you. The only thing I think about doing is consolidating. Is like, let's say if I get like, you know, like you, if I get the call for something, which I haven't lately, but if I get something good, like some type of PM or some type of expensive model
Right,
offer, then I would think about consolidating and just like selling off some. But
right.
I'm in it for the long term. Yeah, I don't really give a shit about like these up and downs. Just like the S&P. You just got to be in it for the long term. You can't just like pay attention to this dealership. Plus,
It's true. It's true, but some watches will just depreciate. Like, but they're good. They're not bad. It's just, but they will. It's just the reality
sure,
of them. So, for
sure.
example, the watch that I'm trying to get at the moment, and I'm really having second thoughts because of exactly this problem, is that new Platinum Daytona. I've got
Mm.
like less than a 1% chance of getting it, but I have put myself in a position that I could. It could happen. I got the
The old one,
finance.
the
No, no, the new one. The
Oh,
new
okay,
one.
okay.
So
One
old one's
percent.
doing okay. I think they were selling, you know, retail 80, no, 78, something like that. But the second market is doing about 110, 120.
Mm-hmm.
So it's doing quite well. I think for sure the new one is arguably better for a lot of reasons. I'm not a big fan of the new design, but just on the platinum, on the platinum specifically, a lot of people who have the platinum, I mean, sorry, who are going for a platinum already have Daytonas. I think for me, I personally didn't want the older platinum going out because
Mm-hmm.
it was very same for even just my Steel Panda. It's such a similar watch. Okay, it's ice blue. Okay, now it's platinum.
Yeah.
Fine, but it's such a similar watch. It doesn't make much sense to tie up 100 plus K in that watch when you get a similar experience from the steel, in my opinion. But
A lot
with
more
the
weight.
new
Yeah,
one,
yeah.
it's literally a new watch. It's literally a different watch. It isn't actually the same watch. And the see-through battery cover on the back is actually
Good car.
special
Good
for
car.
Rolex. I'm not using any WIS terms. This is a battery cover.
That's the first time I heard that. That's good. Let's go in. All right. Battery cover.
So I think
Quartz.
it's going to do really well, and it
Sure.
should
I
come out
bet.
of the gate just absolutely destroying the outgoing platinum. Like it'll it'll probably sell MSRP, I think 90 something, and secondhand market should be in the 200,000 range.
MSRP is 70 something, I think, at least 75 around there. And baguette maybe 80, unless they increase the price. But
I
yeah,
think
yeah,
they're
I think.
increasing the price. I'd be
All
surprised if
right.
they don't bump it
All
another
right.
five or
All right.
10,000,
All right.
just for fun. Like they
Yeah.
could just throw another 5, 10 on there. Why not?
Yeah, I think the this platinum version, I think a lot of people weren't a fan of the brown bezel, and
Yeah.
this new version, you might be right because it has less of a brown bezel because the outer ring, the more platinum ring, and now it's just a bezel insert instead of a full ceramic bezel. So this version
Yes.
might be more popular, and the outgoing one might be, that value. I don't see a big bump with that like you saw in the John Mayer or any other stuff.
Yes. Yeah. Well, even the John Mayer's sort of going down because, as I said, it's doing. So I'm going to do a video on that. I'll track all the discontinued
Cool.
models, show
Okay.
exactly what's been happening to
Cool.
them,
Okay.
and it should be just a little bit overall. Like there's enough data to show that buyer beware. If there's rumors of discontinuation, that's being priced in. So you're
Mm-hmm.
already paying a premium if you hear about, it's being discontinued.
Mm-hmm. True. True.
Yeah, let's move along. Like, there's plenty of channels that do watch talk.
Oh yeah, I know. I know.
what
No, no, no.
what
I know.
what collectibles are you interested in? What are you familiar with?
Um, I played Magic back in the day when I was in
Okay,
like junior high school, high
which
school.
expansion?
Jesus Christ, I started off too late. I started off with like freaking fourth edition and Ice Age. So that's all
I got
garbage.
in on Ice Age.
I got it. So I have nothing, and then like when I got into high school, like my cards all got stolen or thrown out, so I have nothing left
Oh, that's
over.
a bad
But I
story.
but I just been I had nothing good anyway. But I just been following like the whole like rise of Magic and Black Lotuses for like hundreds of thousands, and I
Yes,
watch these guys, and it's like if you have any of the vintage stuff, a lot of people tell me that stuff's pretty safe, but even with the market downturn, a lot of these like real collectors, they're starting to offload, and they're starting to consolidate their collections. Like a guy I know, he collected a whole Arabian Nights graded set of like nine quads, 9+ quads, every Arabian Nights in slab, and
wow.
he spent like a year or two putting all that together, and he just recently he sold it. He sold it because he needed the money because he had a new kid and housing
Wow.
expenses, and he traded it in for like some cash, and I think he got like a beta Black Lotus ungraded,
Hmm.
so just so he can use to play as well. But yeah, I mean, overall Magic, same, it's different asset than watches, but you can consider them in the same alternative asset category, if that makes sense.
Exactly, a
You know,
100%. Right from the bat, it's always had secondary value. Even in early days, where even in Ice Age, even before that, there were cards that were valuable to players, so players were willing to pay to get them.
mhm.
That being said, what is very useful at looking at a product like Magic the Gathering and how it, for some, it became an investment vehicle, a good one, a reliable one. It has a lot of parallels to Rolex, but the timeframes are very compressed. Like
Right.
that, we're talking history
30,
starts in
20 years,
1994.
30
Yeah,
years. Yeah. 20, 30
30.
years.
Well, last sorry, yeah, 1993. But
Yeah.
well, by the time it got to Australia, I think Ice Age was the first deck that was available when I was in high school. So it's funny. Like I was talking to Lord the other day, and for him, he felt that Magic the Gathering was something that always existed in perpetuity. like when he got
uh,
into it, oh, there's already exist. And but that's actually how I felt in high school too. When I got into it, it felt like something that had been around for a long time, and we were just picking it up. That we were the
no,
next
no.
generation picking it up. But no,
Uh,
actually, probably
it was
right in
only,
the
it's
beginning.
only we're only late by like 2 or 3 years from like the rich stuff. That's that's the reality of it.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So,
similar to. Mhm.
so you had a bad exit,
I
zero
mean,
exit,
I
stolen.
would never even gotten in, but yeah, I barely even gotten in. It was
Yeah,
like, we're poor kids then, so what the hell did we know? Just
right.
yeah,
So I actually got out of Magic the Gathering from because I had a collection. Like the collection is you're playing decks. You're playing decks,
yeah.
and I had, in my opinion, at least within my school, I achieved what I wanted with a black deck and a green deck. So black and green, and it was mostly really boring play though. Like I never really did like all the sorcery and stuff like that. It was just spawn monsters and beat the crap out of my opponent.
Yeah,
Basically,
yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah,
all black and green that I
yeah.
did. Like black was a little bit more
Okay.
interesting, but for the most part, it's just like just wail on them. Just
Yeah,
not that hard. Just tap these monsters. Let's go.
yeah, yeah. Green's mostly big creatures.
Yeah,
What I remember. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, nothing crazy. Like it would piss
Cool.
me off when I was playing white and red and they're doing all this fancy stuff, and
Hmm.
especially blue is interesting
Hmm.
too.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah.
but I actually at that point I felt like really bored because I couldn't really like what am I going to do? Just add more monsters to the green deck? It's not really going to change the dynamics of the game that much. And I didn't really feel like building decks that would counter the more sort of interesting interesting metas and stuff like that. And I just said, I'm not going to keep up. I'm going to sell my decks. I
Hmm.
found someone who I sold my decks to. I think I got either I broke even or I doubled my money. It was somewhere in there. It was a
Sure,
happy
sure.
exit.
Wow, awesome, awesome. All right.
And
So now you have you mentioned you have a small allocation in Magic
no,
cards.
it wouldn't really be worth calling an allocation. It's
Allocation.
about
Yeah.
I repriced them the other day just because I was really looking into the Magic stuff recently, and it's 5 cards. I won't say what they are, but they will not be printed again.
Okay.
And about $1,200.
All right.
They're
All
not
right.
mint
Sure.
condition. They're
All
sort
right.
of near
All right.
mint or low
It's like
low played.
it's like a long jeans or something. If you had something like that, like a couple of
Yeah,
Tissot,
yeah. It's not. Yeah,
Seiko.
I got it mainly for fun, right?
Okay.
So this isn't a true investment. They're expensive. They're expensive enough that I have to say to my wife, like, what's the real prospects for this? Because it's expensive enough that, two stupid, 5 stupid pieces of paper, what am I paying for? She needs to know. And I think with those ones, it's strong enough that it's worth being able to pay for. That it's a bad investment, I think, and but it's enough. I enjoy owning those cards. Those cards are special to me, and I did pick up one more card the other day after looking at it, and we had a house rule for Magic the Gathering at my high school, and that was any land that you wanted to play, you could just put it down. Like you weren't limited by one land per
Oh, okay,
turn.
okay.
Because,
Fast.
you
We
know,
called it fast man. I think we called it fast man. I heard of that rule too. Something like there was like slow mana, which is one, and fast mana, which is whatever.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
trying to look up like house
yeah.
rules for thing. I've never heard of anyone doing this, but except my
Can't believe
school.
you.
But
No,
that's
it's
interesting.
global. That's the thing about Magic and watches. The common out. The one thing it has in common. Watches are global. Magic, global too, in such a short period of time. Yeah, all the way in
But
Australia.
Fast Mana did something really really wacky for one of my black cards. Like my whole deck was basically around getting to this black card called Infernal Denizen, and under almost all circumstances, this card is just like
That's just
it's
shit
it's
creature. The
it's
shitty
dog shit.
creatures. Dog
It's
shit
dog
creatures.
shit. But in
But it had a cool picture though. That's why.
it did have a cool picture. It had ungodly casting cost of 8. But and then it required you to sacrifice swamps, 2 swamps per
All
turn.
right. All right.
But but in fast mana or just all lands down, and with that you'd construct your deck where you have a lot of land in your deck. Basically, you get that mana up fast, and so you're drawing like land, basically once every 2 turns. So the whole sacrifice of swamps just isn't that big of a deal. It probably gives you, a lead time of like maybe 5 turns before the game is over for you because of the consequences. But it plays really, really well with that. And because you're just taking over their creatures. Every turn you take over one of their creatures. So it's one less creature
Okay.
that they can defend with, and it's another creature that you're attacking with next turn. So it's an extremely strong card as long as you've got the swamps to handle it. And with fast mana, you totally
Yeah.
do.
Good
But
times.
under normal play, it's completely dogshit card. So I was able to pick up my much remembered Infernal Denizen for like 65 cents,
Okay. Ice
and I'm
Age.
happy.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
It's
That was the
it's Ice Age card, right? So yeah,
yes.
yeah. You could, yeah, 65. Yeah. So I mean, Magic. Yeah, I mean, comparing it to watches, yeah, I guess it's portable, obviously, right?
Hmm.
Another thing about you could travel the world or whatever, move your money from one country to another, and
Yeah.
with some of these cards,
Do
it's
you have any
global.
magic left?
No, like I said, I lost them or threw
Right.
them away, but I never had anything good to begin with. I mean, nothing serious. I mean, I thought about getting. I mean, during like the pandemic, I thought about getting into a Lotus again, but then I guess it wasn't that good times for spending that much money at that
Right.
time. But.
Well, for viewers, what we're talking about is fundamentally a game, and the Infernal Denizen was really valuable to me because I won so many games with it. It's how games were won for me in high school.
In Australia.
But it's like worth 65 cents. It's a terrible investment, right? It'll never get any better, right?
This is
But that's one of those things. It's like some things are in the magic world. They're called either game pieces. Like I think there's sort of like a distinction between two groups of people who want the cards. They're seen as game pieces. These are the things I need to play the game with. and then there's collectibles, and there's people who actually don't play the game and just get them as collectibles. Now they appreciate the cards, and they know a lot about the game, but they may not play that much either. And there's two distinct sort of things for them. The other thing that seems to be very apparent, that's very similar to Rolex, is that the MSRP of these cards keeps going up. And that means even just for game pieces, there is actually a collectability aspect. You buy sealed boosters, sealed packs, you hold them for 5 years, and you'll just track along with the MSRP, hopefully. And maybe there's something about the cards in the future that becomes a little bit more interesting. One of the things that seems to be happening right now is that they're doing a bit of a Bud Light, and that is a lot of the things that they're doing are very progressive. A lot of the art is sort of like pushing, transsexual stuff and gender swapping and race swapping of characters and stuff like that.
Yeah, they banned a few cards. I remember that it was in the news. They banned like a lot of the old cards because it suggested some politically incorrect stuff.
Right.
But yeah, they're going down that route, and I kind of agree. It's not great for new cards. Look, I mean, if you talk to anyone that invests in this stuff, they'll tell you the new stuff is not worth touching at all. I mean, it's only the old stuff. It's only the old stuff, vintage. Anything like Arabian Nights and before. That's right. The only thing that's potentially investable. And if you're ever going to get into it, then don't get into it as an investment. Get into it because it, like any collectible, you enjoy it first as a hobby, and then right. if it happens to appreciate, that's a plus. Just same with watches.
Yeah. Well, I think there is. I'm not sure if there's even an analogy for it in the watch world, and that is just buying the sealed packs, holding on to them, because right now here's the perverse thing. So while the new stuff is probably not that attractive for a lot of reasons, even for people who just want to play the game. If someone wants to get into the game now and not have the Bud Light type stuff, in their cards that they just purchased, they can just go back to the cards that were released 5 years ago, buy a few packs of that. Doesn't have any of that stuff in there. Okay. And there's literally warehouses of the stuff available, so you can
overprinted. It's overprinted. That's the thing. It's what you call mass produced not even mass produced scarcity. It's just too much supply. That's the same issue with like fallen empires back in the day or Ice Age. They just printed too much of it, and then that's why it's not worth much.
Yeah. But I mean, it is interesting in that it doesn't have the huge pop. Doesn't have massive upside, but it at least can track with MSRP. And that's a little bit more a typical story for Rolex, actually, where the main history is that, it's 4-5%, but that's because MSRP is also tracked 4-5%. So the reality, it's sort of like trailing the retail value. And the same has happened with cars, actually. So my, blink and you'll miss it Toyota minivan has gone up in value. Now, are collectors looking at that? No, they're not looking at that car. But what's happened is that the MSRPs of the new cars have gotten so high so fast, it looks like my car has depreciated 60% from MSRP. No, the MSRP was 40% lower than the current MSRPs. That's the difference.
Wow.
So,
okay. Interesting.
So it is interesting that, current production, current costs, current MSRP really drags the secondary market values of things that are older, not even that much older, but the whole family of everything moves up. And that's the story of Rolex, in my opinion, is that if you want a Rolex, okay, this is what it costs at the store, and this is, say, pre-2015. This is how much a Rolex costs at the store. You can pay like $7,000, or you can go to secondary market and get one for like $5.5. Get an older one,
15,
for $4.5, something like
15,
that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm talking like back in like the early teens or something like that, when people were selling Hawks for like 6,000 because they
Six,
bought it
seven.
at a discount, and then now they have to take a haircut to sell it to
Mm-hmm.
someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, the prices have gone up really heavily on them on the secondary market, but also MSRP. MSRP is really the price floor, and that's very important. And one of the things that's happened with Magic the Gathering is that the MSRP has been removed, as best as I can tell, or at least it's just not respected at all.
Okay.
The stock coming in,
Yeah, I'm
stock.
not familiar with that. Yeah, it's like I mean, what they're supposed to print like $5 a pack, and they don't do that anymore with dealers or.
Well, at the moment, because the market, well, the market the last couple of years, probably when they introduced that whole idea of MSRP just being a floating, it just doesn't matter,
Mhm.
is that the market was flush. Like if a lot of things in the last couple of years, they had a peak, they had a boom. And while the market was flush, the fact that the MSRP was floating and you couldn't buy new stock for, a cheap price, there was no price, entry price, right? It just meant that was fine. But now that we're looking at sort of like a little bit of a downturn, there's no floor.
Okay,
And
I hear you.
Hasbro has no interest in
Yeah,
making less money.
yeah. Now we have an MSRP. Oh, excuse me. Now there's an MSRP when in a
No,
down
no,
market.
they'll just dump it. So what
Okay.
I'm seeing is just they just put their stock on Amazon, and it'll be less than the secondary prices for the same product. They're just literally dumping it.
Yeah, the difference is Rolex. They know what they're doing. They know how to manage their supply and their product. You got Hasbro just they're just what I'm hearing is just running their company into the ground, just pissing all sorts of collectors off by reprinting and coming and just making too much supply with the new stuff. Rolex is just going to limit their supply with the new stuff. So much like Hermes bags, they limit their supply to make sure that
Hmm.
their brand isn't tarnished, with whatever they come out.
I actually have a theory, and that is Rolex's supply is not actually constrained. Like that they're actually being honest when they say they're making as much as they can.
Sure, sure. All right.
Yeah, basically, I believe them when they say that they're targeting 10% growth every year in terms of actual supply.
Oh yeah. I mean,
And yeah, go ahead.
I think, yeah, no, I can see that as well. I mean, I don't think they're not like purposely limited by just the demand is over the roof. That's
Yeah,
that's that's that's
it's
what.
just way
Yeah,
high, and
yeah,
there's no real way for them to just say double the supply at the quality levels that they demand. Now, if they open it up to manufacture in other places and really do like huge amounts of investment, they probably could.
yeah,
But for them, their 10% per year is probably okay. But I think they're going to have to accelerate on their capabilities far greater than that, and only because maintenance. So if they produce 1.1 million watches this year, 10 years from now, they're going to have to be servicing 1.1 million watches more, including all of the current supply that's already out
mm,
there. And I think in general, maintenance is more labor intensive than new production. And you're talking about needing to ramp up huge amounts of capacity to merely maintain what they're producing, even if they just kept the production at a flat rate. Just because the prices and the value of secondary stuff is just so high, no one's going to have a second thought about sending it into Rolex and having like a $1,000 or $1,500 service to get it up and running again.
yeah. And then
They just sort of, yeah,
less and less watchmakers, graduating from watch school too. Yeah, they're gonna have a problem with that. It already takes like 6 months to get something back from RSC.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. And maintaining those service times, it's going to be a real challenge. And
yeah.
they're going to try and do their best. They will. But I think that just the fact that these things, well, maybe not this one. This one's an Omega. Um,
Scooter. Yeah.
just because they, yeah, just because
Oh wow,
the
that's
watches
a bad
last
example.
a really long time, and because they're often actually used, they do need maintenance relatively often, and it means that production capacity is not really going to be for new production. It'll be maintenance. So
Sure.
part of that is the CPO program, as in they have to see these things come in, get refurbished, go back out.
Yeah, I've been looking into that CPO program a lot. Yeah, first of all, I mean, back on the supply issue, I mean, they don't have any real incentive to really like double their supply or anything. It's still a luxury brand. It's in their best interest to not limit supply on purpose, but at least don't crank out supply and flood the market at the same time. I mean, that's you got to make some people happy, but you can't if you make everyone happy, that's just not good for your brand in
Yeah,
general.
and the wait lists are kind of, how do we say, they're an illusion. As in, one, they don't exist to begin with, but
Probably not.
the reality is, as soon as you find that these things touch an equilibrium point, all of a sudden there's too much supply. Like, like all of a sudden it's like, we can't get rid of these. We have to stop production. Like, basically, with all the sky dwellers, bar the steel with blue dial, basically all the sky dwellers, they're
Mm-hmm.
now in oversupply. Right? It's one of the rarer watches. They
All
don't
right,
make
all
that
right,
many of them,
all
but
right.
apparently it's too much because there's not enough demand there to sustain what apparently there were apparently wait lists last year, right? Apparently deep, you know, wait lists that would go on for a century, right?
Still,
Because they only
still
send a
for the hot stuff. Still, I mean, I've been trying to get a Cermet for like a year. And
right.
still
No,
nothing.
but what I mean is like there was a lot of people who said that they would want a sky dweller, right? You could imagine that they had, a pretty deep list. Every AD had a deep list of people who want a sky dweller, and they say, oh yeah, get me that gold sky dweller. That's cool. Get me the white dial. Get me the black dial. That's fine. And it was supported by the secondary price. You could see it, like, yeah, okay, it was above MSRP. But as soon as it dropped just a little bit under MSRP, poof,
No,
oh,
no,
apparently there's no wait list.
no, because there's
Yeah,
you can't flip. It's not a flipper watch anymore. You
exactly.
can't. Yeah, yeah.
So
If
the
you like
real
it.
the real tricky part is like, okay, the wait list is either infinite or it's a completely an illusion. Who knows?
Yeah, and I
It's
think yeah,
very fickle.
yeah, yeah, and yeah. I guess the CPO stuff that's gonna be it's gonna be interesting. I mean, there's already plenty of supply in the market. They were really hyping it up late last year when the news was first brought out, but
Hmm.
I'm slowly thinking it's not going to be that big a deal because like they like how are they gonna get the supply? They're not. I mean, I was thinking I would go to Bucher or Torno, and then be able to trade a lot of my old stuff and then at least get on the list for something new, right? But it turns out they're not gonna do that. They're just gonna give you whatever crap offer they always gave you, right?
Yes,
And then it's not gonna help
100%.
you at all, right? And then I don't know how other 80s are gonna do it.
Yeah.
Maybe you gotta talk. You got
Even my essay says don't come back to us if you want to sell it. Like like it's just the offers are just terrible. And I noticed a lot of their stock. It's like kind of terrible. Like the pieces are high end, but like they're not good examples, and they typically don't have boxes and papers even for modern watches.
Mhm.
But for Tourneau that are, and I tell you why I think they're doing that. It's because their customer doesn't care. Like their customer doesn't know any better that the box and papers is going to help them on a modern piece or something like that, and they're trusting that they've bought it from Booker or Tourneau, right? They've got a little bit of faith in that.
yeah,
Now it is Tourneau that will be partnering with Rolex for the CPO. Their stuff is going to get the second rubber stamp. It's not just going to be Tourneau certified pre-owned. It's
yeah.
going
It's
to
a
be Rolex
cream
certified
cream
pre-owned.
cream case or cream card. I mean, that's basically it at a real jacked up grade price. So I don't think it's going to have any impact on the gray market at all, like everyone talked about last year.
Yeah.
Just
It,
because if
it it
everyone
won't
did
even
it,
be a ceiling on the price because it'll be a price point that's higher than almost any other secondary market price, but it won't be a ceiling because the secondary market typically has stock that's better than that.
Mhm.
As in, okay, it doesn't have a new fresh card, but maybe it's 1 day old. Someone
Yeah.
just flipped it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Versus a three-year old CPO, at least 3-year old.
I don't think they're going to abide by that.
All right.
that's
All
that's
right.
just like they said that, but I don't think that's actually going to happen. Basically, anything that Torno wants to send in, I think, is just going to get the CPO flag.
Yeah, and it's most of it's their existing inventory. They have a whole like
Exactly.
catalog of used inventory. They're just gonna send in and just get the cream papers, cream card.
Exactly.
All
Exactly.
right,
Anything
so
you see in the cases now to Torno, if you've got access, that'll all be sent in. Torno already have their own Rolex certified techs. My understanding is it can be CPO even with just their own techs.
yeah,
So
okay,
they're all going to get the rubber stamp.
okay, sure. All right, good for those that buy it. So what else do you think is collectible similar to Rolex in terms of investment, good or
Um,
bad?
I don't think many are similar, but I have been looking at the handbag market. It's been bandied about within the watch community that okay, the women have it like they've been dealing with this for longer than us. Hermes being the originator of scarcity marketing, quote unquote. After looking into this, I've gone into a lot of channels, honest thoughts and stuff like that. A lot of these women are very, very naive collectors. I don't want to be nasty, and look, there's
There's
no
nobody
men's
else in the
channels.
stream. That it's
There's
okay. It's
no
nobody else in the
men's
stream. It's just
channels
us.
doing this, but there's no men's channel, so I have to say women. But in general, men collect crap, like good or bad. Like men are really used to collecting crap, and women do collect things as well, but they're not the same mindset. So how they treat fakes is very, very different. It concerns them greatly if they're not getting intrinsic value higher than a fake. That if the Hermes product is able to be matched with a much cheaper fake, they start deeply questioning why they should get the real thing. While I think for most men who do collect things, for example, if someone had a Magic the Gathering set, the full alpha set, that's incredible, right? They got the full set of alpha cards, the first edition of Magic the Gathering, very extraordinarily hard to achieve, extremely expensive. That pales in comparison, like complete, like that has no comparison to someone who gets a full alpha set that's just fake. Like there's no there's no
Well,
achievement. There's nothing that really happened there. Even just a deck of cards that even if it's perfect fake, it it would
no, it
be
means
of no
nothing.
value to the
Of
person who
course, of
obtained it.
course. Well, and I would say that's because, like, I mean, if I'm buying a bag for my wife, if it's Hermes or something investable, the first thing she's going to want to do is she's going to wear it. So for women, a huge part of it is not really the investing part. The huge part of it is being able to take it out and wear it and show it off in the utility part. Whereas for men, I mean, listen, if I get a bag, I'm not going to be wearing it around. I'm just going to, like, store it somewhere and look to sell it somewhere and or hold on to it for
Right.
some purpose. Yeah, the
The,
investability
the
part.
the main issue is that for men, well, I don't even think it's like for men. Like for example, my 65 cent Infernal Denizen, terrible card, but I would not want a fake, even even at that price. You know what I mean? I want a real Infernal Denizen again to
Okay,
have again from my
65
childhood.
cents.
And it doesn't
Sure,
actually matter if
sure.
it's investable. It's more that it's the real thing, that there's something internal about it,
Of
something.
course.
It's like a very philosophical thing about real versus not real, and it's just in our heads. But we treat that as very, very real. While what I see from a lot of women, and I'm not generalizing all of what I mean is the women YouTubers, their justifications for why the real is better have a lot to do with the intrinsic value, as in it is actually better leather, or the stitching is higher quality. Like it actually matters to them that the super fake can't be as good.
Okay.
But see, the problem with that is, as soon as the super fake actually is as good, there's no arguments left. You know what I mean? There's no justification for buying the real thing as soon as it is actually really
Interesting.
quite good.
Yeah, yeah. I just don't think enough look at it from the investment point of view, like with watches, and magic cards and the condition, that sort of thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They just
And
want to use it.
they're very caught up in condition.
Mhm.
That's a really big deal for them,
Okay.
and almost all of the
Yeah.
value can be completely eradicated if you simply use the product.
Sure. Sure. Mhm. Sure.
So there was a sort of a similar corollary that I talked about earlier with the Sprite, potentially with the new Platinum Daytona, and with say an Hermes Birkin. That yes, if you're able to obtain one at MSRP, you're going to see that day one pop. You know, MSRP to secondary values like this.
Mhm.
However, your experience of owning it and holding it might actually be this slow glide pattern down in terms of value. That nobody wants the 2010 Birkins. You know what I mean? Like, do you get me that
I
it
get you.
all your experience of owning it is actually it's a depreciating asset, not an appreciating one,
You want the
which makes
latest
the
and greatest.
opportunity cost particularly painful because it's not just I didn't invest this in something that could have earned more, but you've actually got depreciation that's happening on it, and it's unlikely to reverse. Now I think with the Rolexes it will bounce. It'll glide down for quite a long time. It might take a very long time to see those early day values, but it will happen. I
Oh,
don't think that happens with Birkins. I think
yeah.
it just drives straight into the ground.
Listen, the Sprite, forget it. That is a once in a generation type example when you had a top of the hot market during pandemic time and a new release right at that time.
Hmm.
I don't expect a Sprite to ever get to like 50K, whatever it was asking right during release. I mean, anything would be insane, and it's impossible for most people to get that at that
Yeah.
time too. Yeah, I just expect the Sprite to, yeah, it fell down to whatever 20 right now. And yeah, if it just like creeps up or just stays the same or just creeps up little by little every year, then I'm happy with
Yeah.
that. Really with that.
What I predict will happen is I think most people don't like it. Just like, but not don't like is a harsh word. Typically, from an AD, you can have one, and most people want the Pepsi. Some people want
Mhm.
the Batman. Some people want the Sprite. So I think it's competing for a second or third, but it does have that collectible value. So there's a premium on there. So it's beating the Pepsi at the moment. I
Yeah,
think if it stays in production for another year, it's going to drop below the Pepsi and start bumping up against the Batman. But then once it eventually does discontinue, then it'll go
sure,
past the Pepsi again. The
sure,
Pepsi, I
sure.
don't think has any chance of discontinuing ever. Just full stop. Okay, when they went to the ceramic bezels, they couldn't do it. They couldn't literally do it, so they didn't have a Pepsi. I just don't see them discontinuing a Pepsi. It just
It's
it
too,
seems
it's too,
unnecessary.
it's too iconic. They discontinue the Batman first. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it'd be like discontinuing like the white, Panda Daytona. It, like it just seems so unnecessary. Why would you remove it? It just like
yeah,
no one, everybody wants it. It's not a fad. There's always been a white dial Daytona. There's no real reason to get rid of it. And the same is true for like the Pepsi. The Batman was never meant to be. I think it's been in production for far too long. Actually, it was never meant.
2013 when it
Yeah,
started.
but they sort of like they never meant it to actually. It only exists because they couldn't make the Pepsi, basically.
Okay, okay.
So to me, there's the Pepsi, and then there's always like you got to have a second option, and they can just fool around with that second option. Blue,
Mm.
red, green, whatever you want to do. Those other
Gray.
alternatives don't have to. Yeah,
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 gray. Yeah,
yeah. I was
Guinness.
looking at that the two tone. It's interesting. I'm only pleased that they brought the Jubilee in with that two tone. So hopefully there'll be a root beer with a Jubilee. But
See, yeah. I like it, but I mean, I don't see anything. I mean, I see these great prices right now because it's obviously it's new and hot, but I mean, longer term, I don't see anything that sets it apart from the rose gold or the white gold. I think eventually it'll probably settle down to where those prices are, which is like a slightly under MSRP.
Right, right.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
yeah. It's I mean,
It's cool. It's cool though, you know.
yeah. Precious metal is a really tricky one. They just historically haven't done well, and I'm stupid enough to have bought my wife a gold Daytona.
No, I wasn't stupid. It's still holding well. It's still
I
over,
don't think it
right?
will over time though. I think it's going to be hard to even for Daytonas to hold that value because even platinum Daytonas, most of them were sold at a discount from the AD. Most,
Back in the day, yeah, yeah.
yeah, from
But
2010
no,
onwards, yeah.
it's changed now. I think 80s will definitely make PM pieces much harder to get. I mean, I lost some too. I have a gold GMT. I have a white gold GMT, the Pepsi Blue Dial, and that was very weird that piece because I loved it from the start when it came out in like 2019, 2018.
Wow.
And then I was allocated one in 2021, and it was like by that time it was like height of the market, that sort of thing.
Yes.
And even pre-hype, even pre-COVID, it was it was an above MSRP piece, so it was hard to get a blue
Hmm.
dial white gold Pepsi. It was back then, believe it or not. So it's hard to get. I mean, I finally got like it. But then, as the thing that killed it, not killed it, but the thing that made it drop to below MSRP
Oyster
was
bracelet.
this, yes, the steel on the oyster bracelet. That's what kind of killed that, not killed it again, but that's what kind
No,
of
you're
like
right.
made it
You're
blow.
right.
But
I think so. I really like the Pepsi on the oyster bracelet. I still want a better Pepsi bezel, but in terms of look, I would love to have an oyster bracelet
mhm.
steel GMT. When I should get it, I don't know. I've been toying around with getting the meteorite GMT white gold, but man, the secondary values of that are trash. Like
But when
it's
meteorite Pepsi, I mean they're like 50, 60, right? They're like
dead 50
50,
right now.
50 something, 60.
50.
Okay.
No, no, no. 50.
Okay.
And that strikes me as like very, very cheap, considering how ridiculous it would be to try and get one
Wow.
from the AD. That's still a
Wow.
very
Yeah.
rare
Yeah.
watch.
Yeah. That might be a good time to get into that,
I don't
long
know.
term.
Like none of this stuff has good track history, honestly. Like even the whole idea of paying more for your preferred dial is is relatively new. Like the gap between say the black and the white Panda Daytona in the past was in the order of hundreds of dollars, not X, 10, 20% difference. And now you have pieces like the Oyster Perpetuals where the gap between, a black or a silver dial and the turquoise dial is going to be, 2x of the entire watch's cost, not just, just for the dial. John May
I hear you.
Daytona.
Yeah, I hear you. Historically, yeah, the PMs were never a great buy, even at MSRP. I just feel like things are different now,
Yeah.
with the whole global demand. I think we talked about like Asia before, and they're opening up, and then more and more people. The demand always increasing for Rolexes. The less the demand, the less confidence we have in banks and currency. I'm sure we could talk all night
Right.
about that too. In the longer term, I know right now things are things
For
are
sure.
things are weird, but I
I don't have any hope for,
if
something.
Rolex, if we were able to still order day dates and maybe PM Daytonas from the 80s, I would agree with you. But we're not going back to those times. I don't think. We used to be able to order that stuff, platinum day dates, gold day dates, gold, even gold Daytonas. We used to be able to. They used to be able to come through. No, no longer they do. So my
I
thinking is that the primary market has changed, not just the secondary.
I don't know. I Maybe things are just too easy for me, but like
I'm,
my
I'm
AD
in New
wants me to
York,
buy a
man.
Daytona. Like, sorry, a
I'm in New
day date
York.
really badly. Like, do you want a day date? 40 is good for a day date. It's like you get a day date.
Okay. Okay. Now my
Yeah.
agent tells me to screw off every time I try to ask him. Maybe I can
Oh,
order
really?
like date. No, we can order like date justs. Maybe like
Right.
36 date justs, two-tone date justs there, but no gold day dates.
Interesting.
You know, not
Like
that I would want.
like the most extreme day date possible. I was asked to help try and offload it, basically. So it's
The
the one
extreme
with
date.
the meteorite dial,
White gold.
baguette. Yeah, what? No, platinum.
Yeah. Oh.
Platinum with baguette bezel,
Okay.
meteorite dial, baguette indices.
What do you
It's
mean you're
like
trying to offload? He wanted you to buy it or something, or
they wanted me to. Well, they knew I don't like day dates, so they knew not to. But it's like, do you know someone who wants one of these? Because we got to
oh, okay.
offload it really quick. And I'm like, that thing is just that thing is heavy. Like I think the MSRP on that is like 140,000.
Just a fluted bezel, no diamond bezel,
No,
right? Just a
diamond baguette bezel.
oh
Yeah,
diamond big.
yeah,
Yeah,
TBR.
yeah. If it was just a regular, smooth or fluted bezel, that I think that they could have sold that, but
Easier to
the
fly. Yeah. No, no, they
the
definitely found
bezel.
someone to buy it for
Okay.
sure. But
Okay.
but you have to understand, like they see that as a soft watch.
It is a soft watch
Yeah,
because of the bezel. Yeah, and the fact that it's a day date. Historically, day dates have always been soft.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. So they see the day date's a soft watch. I mean, they try to push me to get me to want one, but the answer is no. So the other one that they tried to push me towards is the meteorite GMT. I do like the look of it, but I don't like the idea
And
of
you didn't pick it up? I mean, come on, man. You didn't pick up the Meteor GMT?
no. So let's say like you don't get offered that kind of watch unless you do push for it. So I'm not saying I was offered it, but they were saying I should push for that. You
Oh,
know, just
okay.
just go for it, like make the case, as in like just ask for it, which means it's within my territory that it should be doable, should be achievable. When I asked for the gold Daytonas, so I asked for two, they said that's not going to happen. There's
Wait,
no
this
real
is
way.
this was this the rose gold for your was this the time you got the rose gold for your
Yeah,
wife
yeah,
or
yeah. So in November, I realized that shit, our anniversary is coming up in early January, and I'm like, damn it, I should have been working on that like the whole year. I realized I'm like,
all right.
that
All
Jesus
right.
Christ.
Ring up your AD. Hey, come on. What do you got? What do you
Yeah,
got?
exactly.
Come on.
And I thought, like, what should I get? And
Well, she's happy.
me and my wife, we're so happy. It's a really important 10-year anniversary. That doesn't happen all the time, right? It's not like a birthday.
Nice,
It's
yeah.
not inevitable either, It took some work to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I dreamed of happening is exchanging a pair of gold Daytonas. And I felt that kind of thing was impossible, especially in late last year. Like things were declining; they weren't declining that much. It's not like gold Daytonas are rocks.
No.
But I asked for two. They said two's not possible. We could maybe do one, but you're going to have to buy a lot of garbage.
Wow.
We're talking brands that we don't talk about on the streams,
Wow. Okay.
and I just left it at that. 2 weeks later, I get the call. We get the gold Daytona. So at that point, I decided not to get the second one because it's just so gorgeous. It's not. I just felt it wasn't really appropriate for me. I can't wear that. I just don't want to wear that much.
Wait, you
It's too
wanted to get
special.
the same exact Daytona
No, no. I
as
wanted one on Oyster Flex, but yes, Ever Rose. I do, we both love rose
Rose.
gold
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
over white or.
Yeah.
But I could do white. But I decided I'm not going to do it. Like I can't. I just didn't. I didn't like it for myself. It's gorgeous on my wife, but I just didn't want one for myself. But what I'm
Wow.
saying is that all these precious metal watches, they're all within striking possibility for me. That tells me that maybe they're not that hot. Like,
Listen, I think you just got a really good. You're at a great look. You're at a good. I don't know how Vegas is, but I'm sure there's a lot of tourists. I think you just got a good relationship with your dealer. You probably bought a lot of good stuff that they appreciate
mm,
it. Yeah.
well, yeah, I mean, I do have a great relationship, but the only reason I get anything is because something else has fallen out. Someone unexpectedly didn't pick up something that
Hmm.
there was, something fell through the cracks for me to be able to get it. I'm like the the scum suckers on the bottom of a boat or something like that. I'm like the
Same here.
rodents.
Same
I'm
here. Same
rodent
here.
tier.
Same
Rodent
here.
tier
Same here.
VIP.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
did a real VIP just reject something that they shouldn't have? It was like, did they miss their flight? They didn't make it into Vegas this evening. It's the end of month, and you need to get off the
Wow.
books. Okay, come on, let's
Nah.
go.
I'm not even there. I'm not even the scum sucker. I'm like I just play the waiting game. I put in a request. If they come through, great. If not, then that's cool too. But they even stopped calling me for. I'm not even the guy they call anymore. But Pepsi meteorite. I mean, wow. I mean, yeah. I mean, if I would really consider that just because like
It's
um
lovely.
the
Like,
dial, I keep hearing about the Daytona. You hear about the Daytona meteorites discontinuing, and there's not a lot of meteorite left. If you hear all the rumors, I mean, it might be something worth
no, I think
considering.
that's bullshit. Like, there's not enough meteorite. They'll just go to another meteorite. It's not that big
Okay,
of a deal.
okay, okay.
And the amount of meteorite that they're using is just like it may effectively be infinite
Mm,
at the rates that they put these out. They're only giving like a boutique like maybe 6 of these a year. This is not a huge amount of meteorite.
mm.
But yeah, I think it's just you might be in a very competitive market. The East Coast is certainly very, very competitive, and Las
Sure,
Vegas is
sure.
probably one of the easiest markets in the world, as best as I can tell, just because we've got a lot of ADs and the average income here is very low. And believe it or not, there is still, an advantage to being a local, even in a tourist town like Vegas, because they
Definitely, yeah.
know someone that they can trust, that they've actually built a relationship. Because if a tourist, yeah, they may be, super high rollers, but they don't know what they're doing with those watches. You know what I mean? And it
Yeah,
is still a big concern if they have like a
yeah,
huge flipping problem.
yeah. It's a one and done. If they're tourists, they're traveling usually.
Yeah.
All
Well, I
right.
mean, the high rollers, they'll fly in just for fun. If they
Mhm.
got to watch, I'll fly in or something like that. But they're it's not outside of their capability to pick up a hot piece like at the drop of a hat. But them being a high roller, that may not be their priority either. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? So
Mhm.
so they have their contacts. They have a high roller list, but you know, when they get stock, when they have to get rid of the stock, it's that's where the minnows come in.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think Vegas they probably get good allocation as well. Maybe there's just not as much competition like you said. But listen, I think you did good with the Rose Gold Daytona for your wife. I mean, as long as she likes it first and foremost, and still your money's probably pretty safe in that one.
We'll see.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, come on,
I, I
nah.
I would not recommend it. I just would not recommend it. We got it because it's beautiful. I just hope that it doesn't like it's not going to
What crater?
crash.
It's not gonna
Yeah,
crater. It's a
it's not going
Daytona.
to
It's a
crater.
Daytona. It's a
Exactly.
Daytona. I mean, it's a Daytona. And,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
the dial's great. What you got? What dial is it? The chocolate one?
No, it's the black and gold,
Okay, okay,
gold
okay,
subdials.
okay.
That one looks really good. Like I haven't
Yeah,
seen
that's
the
still a
chocolate
great
dial. I've
dial.
seen an older
That's still,
chocolate dial, but I think the new chocolate dials are better.
they're great. Yeah, yeah. I missed out on that. I was trying to get that for last 2 years. No dice. Yeah,
Uh-huh. I
yeah,
think like so with us, I was initially like, you got to get Sundust, you got to get Sundust, and thankfully they did have a pre-owned Sundust, and she wasn't wowed by it, and honestly, I wasn't either. That black and gold in pictures doesn't really do much justice, but those subdials are really very special because they have those rings, but those
hmm,
rings are shaped like this, right? And what that
yeah,
means is that at any angle, all three subdials have some shine and glare and pop to them. So there's no point at which that's not just alive, which is very different to say
yeah.
my Panda Daytona, where it's just black and white. It doesn't try to catch your attention.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Yeah, yeah. So you're still thinking about getting the meteorite Pepsi, or no? Has that passed?
No, no. The discontinuations fucked me. They,
Oh,
the only one that the only ones I really wanted were either the meteorite Daytonas, which were extremely hard. My understanding is that they'd be 3 times harder than trying to get a platinum, somewhere in that territory.
probably. Yeah.
But I've got a little bit of time. They are a big AD. They do get them. Or, you know, just ask for it. You don't know what you can get if you don't ask. The
Hmm.
Rainbow Daytona.
Yeah.
So
Rainbow. Okay.
yeah, just
That's still in the catalog. Not in the catalog, but that's still in production.
so with Watches and Wonders, it got removed. So
Oh,
that basically the two watches I wanted got
that was
discontinued. So
wow.
I got
The
fucked.
rainbow. The rainbow. Wow. Yeah.
There
Yeah.
was like, so I think there was like a less than a 1% chance to get the meteorite, and then like much less than that to get a rainbow. But this is an AD that does get rainbows, so it
Wow.
does
Wow.
happen.
Wow.
So it just comes down to who knows what factors at that level of scarcity. It isn't just going to be money either, but
Yeah.
money's not going to hurt. And
Yeah.
if she told me that I have to buy a day date at the same time as buying a rainbow, I would.
Oh yeah. Even a platinum day date with a diamond bezel. You would.
That I might not, but but just a regular day date maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like that one with the TBR. That's just everything. It's everything. It's meteorite with baguettes with the bezel. Like it's
Bezel.
just
Yeah.
completely outrageous.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. You might be able to flip it for, I don't know, maybe 70%. Get your
Mm,
money back. So, but if you get a rainbow, yeah, it's worth it. It can't hurt to ask. You know.
exactly,
Yeah. I
exactly.
mean,
I'm at the point where basically it isn't insulting to ask for anything, but my likelihood of getting it's just still super low. But it doesn't
sure,
actually, like,
sure.
it's actually a reasonable ask. And I mean, you just look at what they have given me. What is above the GMT and the steel Daytona and a gold Daytona? You know, if I want more, what's the next level? There's not that many things that are higher than that. You've got anything that's gem set. You've got the meteorite dials. That's about it. Everything else is a side grade, and I don't think it's how do you say insulting to ask for one level up from the best thing that they've given you. And that's how it works from the bottom, right? It's like, I'm gonna buy a Lady Date Just. Maybe you allow me to buy a sub, and then maybe you allow me to buy a GMT. Maybe you allow me to buy a Daytona. It's not.
So, what are your thoughts of you said you said the gold Daytonas, the precious metal pieces, you don't really believe in their long track records, but the gem sets, historically they've been even worse than the the PM pieces.
Right.
So, how would you but you would consider a gem set over a PM, just how do you see the investment value of the gem sets is what I'm
The
trying to
gem
ask.
set is just so rare. There's two ways it works out for me. It's so rare and so special and so beautiful that I don't care. Right? It's
Okay.
just
Okay.
I
So
would love to
there,
have, and I don't think it's been produced since 2018 actually, and I didn't realize that.
the
The
rainbow. Oh,
well, I really love the Rainbow slash Skittles Yachtmaster. I
oh, okay.
really like
Okay.
it. I really, really like it. I love the
Yeah. Yeah.
diamond triangle at top. It reminds me of like Iron Man's arc reactor
Okay.
in like Iron
Okay.
Man 3, the
Oh wow.
triangle.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, I really like that. I know that may or may not be. I don't even know what the MSRP is for that because you try to find the MSRP of these gem sets. It's like
It's around a
how many
hundred
people have
for that
experienced it.
master. Yeah. That's a good one. That's a good gem set. Yeah.
Yeah,
Tutti
and
fruity.
yeah. So if that was in production, I would go for it just because it's just so cool and I like
Yeah,
it.
yeah, it's
And
a nice
anything
exit
gem set
piece.
Rolex, who knows where that goes? Who knows? Like, there's not enough supply. Full
Just the
stop.
sheer. Okay, I hear you. Okay, so just the sheer rarity of factory sets, you think a gem set would be a good buy. Certain gem sets, not all of them. Not like
Yeah,
I'm not talking not like your day dates with freaking TBR bezels. That's no good. Not
yeah.
even like not even maybe some Daytonas with just some special bezels. It's got to be like a real,
Right. Like so the
hot gem
rainbow,
set.
my understanding was MSRP at like under 100, and that makes all the sense in the world to grab one if you could, because
It was pretty hype. Yeah.
secondary is into the 300, 400, 500. Who knows where it is, different
Sure,
different
sure,
examples.
sure.
But the current round of gem set Daytonas that have come out with this new model, my understanding is that they're around $400,000. And I
You mean the one with like the orange bezel, the that one, or
there's
like
one
the
that's
eye of the
fully
tiger, the eye of the
no
tiger,
no.
or one
So
of
there's
the.
no Eye of the Tiger at the moment. There's just one that's just full red rubies, and there's another one that's just all diamonded out, pave dial, TBR bezel type thing,
Oh, okay.
lots of diamonds, and
The
they're
new ones
both
that
like
came
my
out.
understanding 400,000. I'm just like, I don't know if the secondary market will support that, and those designs aren't as fun as say the rainbow. They clearly aren't.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if, well, let's not pretend. I can't afford that. I can hold things that are
Yeah. Well,
extremely heavy, but I can't outlay $400,000 in just cash on a watch. That would be really dumb. That's just a huge amount of opportunity cost. I mean, you look at that. What's 5% of 400K? Hold on. Was it 20,000? No. Yeah, 20,000. That's just really dumb. What can I say? At
it's
twenty
really that
thousand dollars,
much.
I could buy two Rolexes a year, or one super hot Rolex every single year for the rest of my life, instead of that one, diamond studded Daytona. And that diamond studded Daytona, you're like, well, why would you want the other watches? They get just diamond studded Daytonas, but
Hmm.
I honestly wouldn't wear such a thing very often. So
No, it'd have to be like an investment you keep in the safe one day, and then think
right.
about like trading it for a house or something.
Yeah, yeah. Like at four, so the way I look at it is like, say, Daytona is like 30, let me just pull out a calculator. So Daytona is like 34,000, something like that. Calc. So 34 times 5%. So $1,700. So it has to earn me $1,700 of just enjoyment for the year. And I wore that 100 days last year. So like that means is like, was it worth, 17 bucks a day?
Hmm.
Was it worth that? I was like, yeah, it totally was.
Sure, sure, sure.
It absolutely was worth that.
Yeah.
So that's the equation it works out to me. Like, how much enjoyment am I getting out of that for how much opportunity cost it's costing? You go on a per use basis.
Hmm.
That a diamond studded Daytona at 400,000, it has to. I might wear it 3 times. So I'm saying those 3 times a year, that those three experiences have to be worth like $7,000 a night. You know, I just couldn't really justify
No,
that.
I,
It,
I,
it
I, I don't think Rolex gem sets are worth that much at MSRP. I think if you get into that price range, you're looking at like super rare Patek or vintage Rolex. But I mean, I'd be okay buying a gem set. Not that I have the money, but I'd be okay maybe at around the 100 or 120 range at
right,
MSRP, and then that'll be it. But any higher, I don't think Rolex is
exactly.
in that
Well,
bracket.
perversely, you mentioned like a vintage piece. Now, the problem with vintage, you can't really wear them. They're not as durable. They're not like a
Oh
modern
no,
Rolex.
oh
But
no, oh no.
but if there was a piece that was like very valuable, but was literally just a reliable steel watch, I could at least wear it quite often. You know what I mean? If it like flew under the radar but was
Sure.
super special
Sure.
regardless,
Sure.
that is easier to fly because I could wear it more often, I could wear it more places, I could enjoy it, I could get that value back in enjoyment.
Yeah.
But on a gem set piece, you're really talking about this is just for like a few nights of the year, super spectacular
It's
fun.
real gaudy. Yeah. Well, you're in
So,
Vegas, but yeah, still, yeah,
yeah.
still,
I
yeah.
actually saw someone wearing a Richard Mille yesterday. I don't know where you're from, but
New
still living
York,
in
man.
Vegas, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, New York.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay, yeah.
I
You see
wouldn't
a lot
dare
of
wear my.
Riches.
I wouldn't. Well, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't dare wear my shit outside here. Let's
Oh,
just
right.
say that's why I'm hanging out with
Well, I lived
tutors.
in Seattle for a long time, and that's like completely shady. But I feel that a lot of the higher end pieces are just so like no one knows what they are, and most people don't wear watches. So to go out and start looking for people to steal a watch from is like I
Mm.
don't know. Especially if what I wear, I say I wouldn't be wearing like a three-piece suit at the same time and trying to walk down downtown Seattle. You know,
All
like
right.
that
All
that'd
right.
be stupid. You're just making
Sure.
yourself a target. But
Sure.
if you've got a
Sure.
hoodie and a Daytona on, like that's cool. I think
That's
like
great, man.
there's
All
no
right.
real
That's great,
problem.
man. That's great, man. Yeah. Yeah. You have to
So
be safe, man.
you don't wear your pieces out?
I mean, look, I mean, I have a family like you. I don't want to put them at risk. I'm not in like the
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not really in like the safest environment. I mean, I work from home, and it just doesn't really matter. I do like house stuff, construction stuff at home, that sort of thing. Outside, I'm just taking the subway to work, and
yes.
usually I just don't feel comfortable wearing it out.
Oh,
It's
fair
not worth.
enough.
It's not. It doesn't give me that much enjoyment wearing. I mean, I wear it sometimes here and there, but it just doesn't give me the enjoyment. It's not worth the risk. Unfortunately, these days of where I'm located.
I get
Um,
it.
yeah.
I totally get it. That it's unfortunate, but you're completely
Yeah.
reasonable. Completely
Yeah,
reasonable.
yeah,
I feel it in Vegas, because it's all going to places by car. It's all point to point. You're in a casino. It's not a super sterile environment, but at the same time, it'd also be a stupid place to try something just in general.
sure, sure.
Because I mean, they're protecting like millions of dollars of stuff on the tables all the time. There's a lot of money just
Makes sense.
floating about that. Yeah, in general, I think Vegas is actually pretty safe for that kind of property theft.
Hmm.
While every other major city in this country has sort of gotten pretty bad when it comes to property crime. Well, that's not
Yeah,
really
yeah,
property crime. It's probably going to be robbery, right? But
yeah, yeah, yeah. Sure.
you got to
Yeah,
stay safe though.
yeah. So
For the
how long?
record, yeah, go ahead.
No, just personal question. How long have you been in the United States, Aussie? I mean, where are you from originally in Australia? Sydney.
I'm from Melbourne. I lived in Sydney for a
Okay,
little while as
okay,
well.
okay.
Traveled around a lot. Early part of my career was in Europe. Worked a year in Switzerland at the Swiss Stock Exchange. About 4 years collectively in London. A few years bouncing around Asia, mostly Hong Kong and Singapore, or within the banks.
All right, all right.
And then got out of finance, started doing app development with my wife, and we were just bouncing around Southeast Asia, mainly
Oh
Thailand,
wow. Okay.
Malaysia, and mainland China.
You're in IT now. You work in
I've
IT
always
now.
been an engineer, so
Okay.
whether it was
Same
finance
here.
or other kind of stuff, yeah, I was always
Same
been an
here.
engineer. And then we wanted to start a family, so we felt that America's really the best place for that. So we moved
Yeah.
to Seattle, and then when pandemic hit, I moved to Las Vegas.
That's great, man. That's great. All right, man. Good
You did what
story.
kind of engineering?
Um, I mean, I went to school for a computer science programmer, but I was terrible at it. So then, been a business analyst, project manager
Oh,
type of
right.
work for finance companies, banks, consulting.
I see. I
Probably the
see.
past like 15 years in New York. Yeah, I bounced around. I
Business
worked
analyst
at
is sort of turned into like a dirty word. I don't know.
it is. Yeah, I'm still hanging around there. I'm still hanging around there. They're trying to like change, replacing it with like Chat GPT and that sort of thing. But yeah,
Right.
it's gotten pretty hectic.
Yeah,
Um,
I was a business analyst for about half the time that I was in finance. Like
sure,
I wore
sure.
a few different hats, but
That's really what it is. Business manager, business analyst, product manager, project. They call it very different things. Call it whatever you need to. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, yeah. It's like I believe in the role, but it
Hmm.
just like there's been so many new invented roles. I'm like, that's just what a BA does. What's it? It's like,
Exactly.
well,
Just
you didn't need a new role for that.
call it whatever you want. We just wear many hats. At the end of the day, you put your time in. That's basically it.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
need people
I dodged a
experienced.
bullet like early on. Like I got a graduate position with IBM. Like I had some bank offers in IBM in Australia, and I just decided to try my luck in England. Like I just felt
Hmm.
like either I leave now, as soon as I finish my degree, leave now, or I'm likely to end up staying in Australia for the rest of my life. Because once you start your career, you sort of start building your ties, the things that tie you down, whether it's a mortgage, whether it's your career. Like these things are hard
Yeah.
to start shifting once you
Mhm.
make yourself immobile.
Wow. I went to Sydney once. I have family in Sydney. I think I stayed with them in Alawa. I was visiting like a potential girlfriend there for it was like a long distance relationship, New York to Australia, and then at that time it was like 2013 or 2014 around that time, and I visited a Rolex AD in Sydney. I think I saw a Hulk there
Oh
in
wow.
the window in 2013 2014. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm not paying retail for that. I can get that
It's
for like
true.
six
It's
grand. I
true.
can get that for like 6 grand, back at home. Great dealer. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
fun.
I think the Hulk didn't start going above retail until like 2016 or something like that. It felt like after the Batman landed.
Yeah, I always thought it was a little loud for me. That's why I never got it. It was a cool watch, but I just it's very flashy for me. Yeah.
I think I always thought that too. I
Hmm.
really did. Until after I got my black sub, I started really thinking about the Hulk, and like I would never choose it before getting a black sub, but in person it's a lot more versatile than the pictures look,
Hmm.
because everyone wants to take a picture where the green is like really bright,
Yeah, yeah,
but it's just not like that in person. It's
yeah.
not like just really bright. It's mostly like very dark. It goes to black and indoor lighting. So it looks like a Starbucks in most occasion. And I think that's
Mm.
cool. I like the Starbucks is cool too. It's just the Hulk is just a little better because once you do put the light on, you go outside, it does pop.
Yeah,
You get
yeah,
those fleeting moments of light.
yeah,
And the fact that it's on the 11 series case, it sort of helps it a little bit because the 11
sure,
series is kind of
sure.
an awkward look,
Yeah.
honestly. Like retrospectively, it's kind of like a little bit funny. It's got this like little bracelet with these huge lugs on it.
Hmm.
It just makes it a little bit more special. You know what I mean? Like it's more unique.
Hmm.
I don't know all these people like starting to badmouth the 12 series. They're out of their mind.
But the Starbucks, the Cermet. Yeah.
No,
Oh, you
just the
mean
12 series in general, like where they think like the 21 millimeter is now just too big, and it's like you're out of
Okay.
your mind. You're out of
I'll
your
take
mind.
it. Yeah, yeah. I'll take it. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, now the Hulk was definitely ahead of its time. 10 years ago, yeah, all us office guys, we were all like, look, wearing subs to the office. If you're a trader or that sort of thing, subs, speed masters, white date just that was what was in, back in the day. Nothing with colors, nothing with colors then.
Look, the
Yeah.
family has come home.
All
It's
right.
been really nice talking to you.
All right. All right. Cool. Yeah, I got to get to bed too. All right. Nice to meet
We'll
you,
do this
Aussie.
again
All
sometime.
right. Thanks a
Cheers.
lot. All right. Cheers. Bye.